Right. So yeah, it's like a more underwhelming version of just not going anywhere at the start of Far Cry.
Yeah,
What is it? Far Cry 4, is it?
Far Cry 4, Far Cry 4. You can argue that Far Cry 4, don't go anywhere ending is the real ending. It's the good ending.
Exactly.
No, really, because if you play the game, the outcome is that everything, no matter who you side with, the island is worse off than when you started there.
Omitting from action. Well, I mean, it's an interesting philosophical question, though, isn't it? Really. But,
yeah, but you make it worse for everyone.
Yeah, it's true.
So I feel that the real ending is the first is this don't do anything ending. And yeah, so it's the worst. It's not a worst game. It's just, it could have been so much more. And I really feel they had trouble getting the money in.
Yeah, well, maybe. But I don't see how they could have, though, really. I mean, that was such a hyped game.
Yeah, but they had no, they had no early access, they had no Kickstarter. True. So they were, I don't know who founded them, but after 2 years or 3 years in development, they maybe said, yeah, well, we want to see some returns. And they did return. They got $500,000 at the first day on Steam. So, they made their fair share of money.
Yeah.
But I feel like they had to just come up, or they had this grand plans, and they wanted to do a lot of stuff, and then they realized they can't do it with the money they have, and then they said, well, people will be disappointed at the ending if we just wrap it up. So instead of giving them the chance to refund the game after 1.5 hours, we just stretch it out to 2 hours for the main storyline, and then we end the game in 15 minutes.
So do you reckon that they've actually consciously said, let's avoid the refund time? Like, you think they're being that kind of mercenary about it?
I don't want to imply that. I don't want to that's a difficult thing, because I can't say, I don't want to give them a bad rep or anything.
No, of course not.
But I feel like, I feel like that's a possibility, because
it's pretty suspicious that it's just that much longer and then rushed to conclusion.
It's really, after 2 hours the ending begins, and it would be an amazing coincidence, and not saying it isn't a coincidence, but it's mighty suspicious for me.
Yeah.
And I can't blame them, because if everyone just refunds your game, the company goes under.
Well, I mean, it's an interesting thing. A game doesn't have to be, in my opinion anyway, it doesn't have to be long to be enjoyable. And I'm not sure whether or not I really agree entirely with the kind of time versus cost sort of analysis of whether a game, is worth it sort of thing.
Yeah,
because sometimes a game can be simple and quick and worth paying decent money for. I mean, it depends on what sort of game you're into, obviously. But
yeah, of course.
But yeah, it's not impossible. So I'm not sure, like, whether it actually really does make sense to stretch a game out so that you get past that refund timeline, and at the same time make a worse game that people actually want to refund. Yeah. Maybe it's more kind of makes more sense to keep it short, but make it such a emotionally affecting game that people can't really, in good conscience, ask for a refund for it.
Definitely. I'm all for that. But I feel like the game was massively disappointing for me.
Yeah.
Not because it was a bad game, not because it was too short, not because of the ending, but because I think it could have been so much more if it wanted.
Yeah. Yes,
but it didn't, obviously. So,
like I said, I haven't played it, so I can't pass judgment upon it. But it sounds like interesting circumstances, and also just poor PR probably from the developer to tell people to play it twice when they're getting criticised for not being long enough.
Yeah,
that seems like just
that's
bad
what I thought.
policy.
Because I mean, you're deaf. You need to know that that doesn't improve if you play it twice.
Exactly. The game is what the game is, and people, if you play it twice, are just going to find out that everything didn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean,
Thank you for reminding me that it's a completely superficial thing I did.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, telling someone that, you didn't like the book, just read the book again. It's better than,
Yeah.
You'll learn all this stuff.
It
you
gets
didn't learn
better.
last time. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
So yeah, Firewatch, yeah. My
So
recommendation...
if you had to give it a rating out of 10, what would you give Firewatch now that you've played it twice?
Well, if you play it once and then uninstall it and never play it again, and think fondly of that, and you can live with an ending that probably doesn't live up to short build-up expectations you do in your game, then I would give it a 7.5 of 10.
That's not bad.
If you play it, if you play it 2 times, I would give it a 5 out of 10.
Wow.
If you play it 3 times, I would give it a 3.
Wow. Diminishing returns.
Yeah, because like the second time I was thinking, I got some extra lines. I mean, they didn't really matter or make sense in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
But that's some additional content. And the third time, I was standing at a point, and I made the conscious decision. There was a backpack hanging on a tree, and you had to get it. Nothing in the game hinted that you had to get it, except there was a backpack in the tree and they expected the player to go there.
Yeah.
But you also had no way of progressing if you didn't take the backpack. You were stuck on a little tiny place, and nothing indicated that the backpack would solve the problem. You couldn't radio your supervisor and tell them, hey, I'm stuck here. Nothing indicated that you couldn't progress further. And, if you didn't notice that stupid backpack in the tree, you were essentially stuck and the game didn't help you out one bit.
Wow.
So that was the moment I realized, if you do that, if you cut my path off behind me, and, I have to do something to progress forward, maybe, give me something to hint at that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just basic game design, really, isn't it? You don't leave people wondering what these days anyway. Back in the day, you could get away with it as much as you wanted, but now you kind of expected to actually let people know what they're meant to be doing.
Yeah, and at the first time it was no problem because I immediately, like the sheeple, went for that backpack.
Yep.
And didn't think twice about it, but knowing the game, I tried to circumvent that. What I know. I tried
as
to
you
use
would do
my...
if you were expecting to find something different the second time you played through.
Yeah, sure. I tried. I expected to have something else happen to me, but no, it didn't.
On that topic though, are there any games that you can think of that are better or are improved by a second playthrough?
Definitely. Definitely. For example, Stanley Parable.
Oh yes, of course. Yeah, that's a classic example, isn't it? Really.
The Stanley Parable just blew my mind when it came out. The HD re-release did the same again. Like, I love to find all the stuff that was hidden and circumventing the narrator or following the narrator to his surprise.
Yeah.
I love that.
Almost, it's almost like that game is almost not played fully until you've played it multiple times.
Yeah, so that was exactly what I was expecting with I mean, not in the scope, obviously.
Yeah.
But, when the developer said, you have to play it multiple times to get anything out of it or get all of it out of it. So I expected something, maybe that's like Stanley Parable. Maybe things are subtly different.
Yeah.
But there was no difference.
Much like me playing this level of Bloody Trapland, which I've been playing now almost the entire conversation, and it's just me doing the same thing over and over again.
At least you have different levels. This game doesn't have any different levels.
Wow.
This is always the same level.
Wow, that's harsh, but probably justified by the sound of it. Well, I mean, games like Fallout, New Vegas and
Yeah,
just Fallout
of
3.
course.
They're games which, even though affect the broader sort of narrative doesn't really change any significant
But
way.
You have the
experience
option
it
to
differently.
change. Yeah, you can ally with other with
exactly.
other groups and stuff.
Yeah, your
you
personal
can-
sort of involvement in the storyline changes,
Yeah,
even though the
yeah.
broader storyline remains the same. Which
Yeah, and you can your character can be different. You can play a female that specializes on science, and I mean RPGs are generally very different in that regard.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I was just trying to think of another game that I had one a moment ago that I was going to say, but it's gone. It is gone from my brain. Games that can be played multiple times.
Duke Nukem Forever.
All right. Yeah. Right. Okay.
I wouldn't recommend playing it once, but
Yeah.
Um,
That's very harsh. All right.
Yeah.
Let's finish this discussion with a would you rather. Okay.
okay, sure.
This is a would you rather from the Would You Rather side.
Okay.
Would you rather bring John
Yeah.
Lennon and George Harrison back to life and reform the Beatles today, or go back to 1963 and go to every Beatles concert from then until 1970 when they broke up?
Would I rather?
Yeah.
I'm down for zombie Beatles.
Yeah. I'm not sure if
I
I
don't-
meant it in that way, but that actually sounds really interesting now you mention it.
Yeah, like I think if we don't mention it that they don't come back as zombies, that's fair game to assume that they are.
I think that's a good point.
I would be down for that. And I like the Beatles songs, but I probably couldn't see myself going to every Beatles concert. I'm
No.
not that huge of a Beatles fan. Whereas,
And also, I
zombie
mean-
Beatles.
Your job qualifications in 1963, they don't mean squat, to be honest. I mean, what are you going to do?
Well, I could
a living.
become the
I mean, it's not
Bill
like there's a
Gates
big
of their time.
programmers back in 1963.
No, not
true.
really. But maybe I could start it. It would be
Yeah,
like
well, maybe. I mean, so
I
it's a
could
double whammy.
predate
So you get like,
Microsoft.
you get like an extra bonus for not just going back seeing the Beatles, but actually becoming a multi-billionaire, creating basically the computer industry.
My problem is I can't read cards, punch cards.
Yeah.
That would definitely not work
Well,
out in my favor. I
That's
guess.
an interesting thing. I remember watching a documentary, and this break common knowledge for someone who works in the industry you do, but I remember watching a documentary years ago about the creation of DOS, the original DOS.
Yeah.
And because it was like tendered or a competition, not a competition, but like there was a tender out for it, a number of companies were buying for it. And Bill Gates and who was the other guy that was involved in Microsoft early on?
I don't know his name, but
Yeah,
I know who you mean.
Anyway, they wrote it on like a tape, like it wasn't a card system. It was on like a real tape thing, but the same technology.
Yeah.
So they had like holes in the tape, which represented open and closed, gates. And they didn't have a computer that could run it outside of the university that they were in. So it got to the night before they had to submit the tender, and they realized there was a bug in the program, but they couldn't actually run it on the computer to actually check it. So they went through it by hand and poked the extra holes in and closed the extra holes up by hand to actually.
That's how they did.
Get it running, and went in the next day without testing it, and it ran without a hitch, which is probably the only time that a Microsoft product has ever run without a hitch.
That's probably
the strongest operating system they ever made.
I mean, MS-DOS wasn't, originally created by Microsoft at all.
No,
they bought the program, so
yeah.
Because IBM was knocking at the door and wanting, a program for their PCs, and so Microsoft said, "Well, we can do that. We haven't done that before, but we know one where we can buy it
worries.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's a brilliant business decision, but
So on the
And-
topic
and-
of bringing John Lennon and George Harrison back, what did we decide? Bringing them back or going back to 1963? What was your
No,
ultimate-
I would bring them back as zombies because
Okay.
I can't see myself going to every Beatles concert.
You and 47% of people would do that exact same thing. If you had a different opinion though, or a different idea, just leave us a comment about it,
Yeah, of course.
and we will be sure to read it and then argue about it next time you catch us on the
Oh,
Game Doesn't Matter
definitely.
podcast.
Okay.
Until then, I will see you later, GP.
Okay, I will see you too. Bye.
Bye.